Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the LitRPG podcast. I am your host, Ramon Mejia here. Today's a special episode of the podcast. We have some wonderful guests and co-hosts for you folks, some other LitRPG authors here. We're going to be playing some games, taking some questions from the audience, and hopefully just having a really fun time with everybody. We'll also be giving away 10 free Audible credits to people who comment and ask questions in the chat room, so feel free to do so. And you can hopefully win an Audible credit, yay! And of course, hopefully, we hope that you'll pick up some of our Audible books. I think most of us have them. But let me introduce to the folks who are going to be here today. We're going to start off with my co-host. It's going to be Charles Dean. He is the author of The War of Eternius and the Bathrobe Knight series. Say hello, Charles.
Hey, hello.
See,
that's as far as it goes.
Introduction. Also, we have some great contestants here. We might get Blaise Corvin at some point. He is having some technical difficulties, but regardless, he has a wonderful series, Delvers LLC, Secrets of the Old Ones. He has an upcoming series called Nora, the Nora trilogy. So go check those out. But we have people who are actually here right now, including James A. Hunter. He's the author of the Brooding Gate series and the Nancy Lazarus series. He just released book 4 in his series on the Brooding Gate, Imperial Legion. Say hello, James.
Hey everybody, I'm not drunk yet, so it should be a good time to be had by all.
There you
go. Why?
We will hopefully fix that. Also with us is Hugo Huesca, author of the Rune Universe series, and also is that most recent LitRPG hit, The Dungeon Lord. So welcome, Hugo Huesca.
Hello, guys. It says Carlos Thomas, but I'm Hugo Huesca. Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much for joining us. And of course, last but not least, we have my buddy, author of the Divine Dungeon series, who had such an amazing release recently. Like I was seriously jealous, but I was super happy at the same time. His book,
Dude, incredible. Good job, buddy.
3 in that series was totally amazing. Welcome, Dakota Krout.
Hey everyone, thank you. It's pretty awesome to be here. I can't tell if you can see or hear me right now though, because this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you. Actually, I do have another series that will be coming out soon as well. It's going to be called The Completionist Chronicles. Yes, so that is going to be the next book to come out for me.
Perfect.
The third book in the series, it was awesome to see such an amazing response. Over 100 reviews in 3 days, so pretty exciting. Yeah, thank you all.
Oh man, I'm so jealous, but I'm happy at the same time.
Don't be jealous. You're amazing yourself, Ramon. Seriously.
And yeah, I'm super happy. I'm like okay. Now just burning desire to do good too. That's all it is. Okay. Now for the folks at home, we're going to play a couple games. The first round is going to be trivia. Each author is going to get a chance to answer the question. Hugo is going to be doing it verbally. Everybody else is going to be holding up a sign, hopefully with the piece of paper with their answer, so they can't just change it later. That would totally defeat the purpose of trivia games. We're going to ask a question. We have a couple categories, including name that video game, some pop culture stuff, and also some LitRPG trivia questions, depending on how far we get into it. And every correct answer is going to be 1 point that they get. If they get it incorrect, that's just too bad. They don't get the point. And the person at the end of that round with the least amount of points will be dropped out of the particular game section, but they're still going to be our guest.
Right,
so going to change positions. You're going to be a judge for round 2, which is going to be a debate section, folks. In the debate section, we're going to give them a question or topic, and they're going to have to convince the judges that their answer is correct. And those answers are worth, if they get chosen by the judges, 5 whole points. So anybody's game, right up to the end. And at the end of the whole thing, we'll declare a winner. I'll keep track of everything here on my fancy schmancy totally technological scoreboard. So there we go.
Yeah, Raymond, you're forgetting that if they get the answer really wrong, there will be like mockery, and this will be live, so it will be recorded in history for all of time. Like, so if they mess up horribly, there will be some sort of like, you're never going to be forgotten for this. Enjoy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That was my biggest fear coming on this show, was like, oh no, it's going to be like Game of Thrones where they just like shame me in the streets and they march me down naked. Shame James Hunter. That's my biggest fear. I don't do well in
James, public. We'll get you a body double just like Cersei. Like, don't worry. We'll have you covered. We'll have like this, like, we'll get like a Terry Crews level body double so that when we shame you through the streets, like, no one will be upset.
Okay, actually, I could be okay with that. I feel like I might throw it just so that we can see that happen.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So lots of shaming will be around, folks. And for you folks who are watching live in the chat room, you feel free to shame them too. I will read you your shame comments and also your questions at some point. So feel free to join in the conversation. Carl Springer, he says, he's new to LitRPG. He's 3 books dipped into 1 series, and it's so awesome. He wants to listen to us, I think. So thanks, Carl, for joining us. And I know we have a couple other guys in the chat room, Rupert Stevens and also Jay Taylor. So all a bunch of good guys. And if like anybody else is in chat, go drop a line in there. We're happy to hear from you. Okay, we're gonna begin the game section. My co-host Charles Dean is gonna be the one who actually reads the questions though, because he wants to participate. So we're gonna let him, of course. We're gonna begin, of course, with name that video game. And again, this one is just we're gonna give you hints and clues about what the video game is. You're gonna have 5 seconds after he reads the hint to write down what your answer is. For Hugo, we'll let him go first so he can give his guess first because he can't. We don't have a video camera in him, so we can't see his written works. So we'll allow him to answer first though after he says it. So Charles, read our first question, please, man.
Yeah. So just to clarify, for this is like one of those games that you play or we played when we were kids, where we're going to give you a full description of the video game, but we're not going to use the title, we're not going to use the characters, and you've got to figure out what game we're actually referring to. And the first one we're going to start off is a very simple one. This
I'm
game is
using my phone.
Oh yeah, Hugo.
Oh, Hugo, we got a picture of you, man.
Yeah.
I'm here to write. One second, I'm going to drop this one.
About a home repairman who goes on this reptilian rampage to save his royal side chick.
So there you go. That is your clue, folks. You have 5 seconds to write down your answer.
I'm sorry.
So Charles, could you read that one more time for me?
Okay, so the first clue is this is a video game that's centered around a home repairman who goes on a reptilian rampage to save his royal side chick.
Okay, so everybody, we have 5 seconds to write down your answer. And
also, what's the policy on cheating? Because I'm kind of a big giant cheater. So
you have 5 seconds to cheat, I guess.
I think it's just really don't get caught by your girlfriend or wife.
3, 2, 1. Whatever you have written down, that is it. So we are going to start off with Hugo. What is your particular answer, sir? Do you have it written down? Let's see.
Yes.
Mario Brothers. So yep, there we go. Perfect. Dakota, what's your answer?
I don't have anything to write with. So I'm just wondering what you want me to do on that.
Write it on your hand? I don't know.
Okay. I was
Just
also
type it in the chat. No, it's true.
Show us your delicious man skin.
I would happily go first. I'm just like in future questions.
Okay.
Because I was going to say Mario as well. Well, Super Mario Brothers, but
okay. What was your answer, Dakota? I guess what did the honor system?
Super Mario Brothers.
Okay, so it was Super Mario Brothers.
Yes.
Rupert Stevens says you should write it in blood from the chat room.
Oh well.
And James, what was your answer? Let's see. What do you have written down? Mario. See, there you go. So everybody gets a point. 1, 1, and 1. So everybody got that one right. Thankfully, that one wasn't too bad.
It was a filter.
So we'll just have Dakota go first now, since he.
Wait. There's one other follow-up bonus up. Is can anybody name the actual original girlfriend of Mario?
Ooh, Dakota, do you have a guess on that?
The original wasn't she actually a nope. I don't know off the top of my head. Nope. I do know from the movies that the first one that he ever dated was actually a Goomba, or not a Goomba.
I don't think it was a Goomba. But
well, from the movie, I don't know.
Thank you for trying. Thank you for playing. Hugo, do you have a guess? Who was Mario's original girlfriend? What did he first show up in?
I'll throw a shot in the dark and say Daisy. Because why not?
Could you say that for me one more time?
Daisy? I'm guessing.
Stacy.
I have no idea.
No. Sorry, that close, but not quite. Thank you for trying.
We'll get the shame thing ready for you. Don't worry.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, I know this.
That's my fetish.
It's Pauline.
It is.
So the first one of Mario is Pauline. And
that was back when he was still
She's a major role.
So Pauline was the first one. Mario first appeared in, what was it?
Jumpman.
1981 in Donkey Kong, trying to Pauline from Donkey Kong. So that would be the first side chick that he tried to save.
That actually kind of makes sense.
That wasn't a side chick. That was his main girl. Princess Peach was the side chick that took over.
Right. Yep, and back then he was also known as Jumpman, and he worked as a carpenter instead of a plumber.
Hey, the trades
That's
are the
why
trades.
I said home repairman.
Oh,
See?
yep.
There you go.
Yeah. So the next question is: this game deals with a glorified grave robber who spends thousands on ammo to go on a skimpy tropical themed spelunking adventure.
Okay, so again, folks, you have 5 seconds.
Let's hold off on giving away the answer until they've all answered.
Okay, so there you go. Dakota, what is your guess?
I kind of want to say Tomb Raider.
Okay, he says Tomb Raider. Hugo, what's your answer? He says Tomb Raider as well. James, what is your answer?
You guys are the worst. I have nothing. I was like, Doom on Vacation Paradise Island? What is this game that they're talking about? I have no idea what this is.
So there you go. And of course, the answer, Charles, is?
It's Tomb Raider. And this is a fun fact. Raymond looked this fact up. So why don't you tell him about the initial characteristic of Tomb Raider?
Sure. Tomb Raider was originally supposed to be a dude, but it was changed to female so that she wouldn't be she'd be less like Indiana Jones, apparently. So you can thank Harrison Ford. So the fact that we have a female busty game character like Lara Croft.
Gotcha.
So
Okay. Now this is a very important game for one reason, but this game has two bros who discover they can jump over bullets slower than a Star Wars blaster in this man vs. alien 2D platform adventure.
Okay, so
I'm so terrible at all these things.
Very slow bullets in this one.
So two brothers?
Okay.
brothers.
Dakota, what is your
Not
guess?
brothers, bros.
Okay, because I want to say Super Mario Bros. I know that's not it, but unfortunately I don't know what it would be.
Okay, Hugo?
I don't think Super Mario is aliens, though.
Oh, aliens?
Yeah, man vs. alien platforming adventure.
This is Contra.
Hear that?
Yes, Contra.
Let's see, and James.
I have no idea. I went with Twin Dragons. Do you guys remember
Twin
that
Dragons.
weird?
I do remember Twin Dragons. That game was awesome.
I don't think they had aliens.
Not
Okay,
bad.
Hugo, you get this one, man.
Yep, Hugo's the only one who got this one correct. It was indeed Contra.
Bunch of noobs.
And here's a fun fact: is Contra was one of the first games that was so difficult that the Konami code actually was called the Contra code when it made it into the U.S.
Cool. Is that where contraband comes from?
Originally, people called the Konami code the Contra code, and it wasn't until it showed up in a lot more games that it got some variety.
So there we go. Okay.
Were cheat codes contraband?
Good pun.
I tried.
All right, so this next one is about a crazy robot lover who tries to replace animals with their 2.0 version, only to be stopped by a speedy adversary.
No.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Dakota,
like
what is your guess?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Describe a video game and see if you can guess it.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Hugo? Let's see. He
I got
says
Sonic.
Sonic, okay. And James? What is your guess, James?
Oh, I got Sonic too.
Actually, it was Sonic 1.
It is Sonic, okay. So
It was
everybody,
Sonic 1. Like the second one was Sonic.
everybody got that one. So excellent job, everybody. And the trivia, I guess, is, let's see. If you're a big fan of game theory, you'll probably know that most of the actual substances for the Chaos Emerald isn't an emerald at all, but is actually quartz. And also, second one is that Dr. Eggman's name was changed to Dr. Ivo Robotnik for the English language version. So in Japan, it's just Dr. Eggman.
All right. This next one's going to be a little bit tough, but this one is a game in which everyone forgets how guns and weapons and nukes work, and they travel around the world fighting in fist fights for global domination. And that is, of course, until one guy who's basically a car company as a sumo wrestler goes around and punches everyone.
Okay. So that's your question. You have 5, 4, 3.
I have no. Boy, that's really.
1. Okay, Dakota, what is your guess?
All I can think is Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat is Dakota's answer. Hugo? Street Fighter. His is Street Fighter. And James?
I was on the fence, but I went with Street Fighter 2. It was either that or Mortal Kombat, but Street
So
Fighter.
there you go. The answer is indeed Street Fighter.
Dang.
So there you go. Everyone except Dakota got the answer. So good job.
Dang it, I'm tied with James. Ugh.
No, I think you're behind me. I think you're 1 point behind me.
I think you're wrong.
Fun fact about the Street Fighter one is that the combo system was originally a bug. So they didn't actually know how the combo system worked. It was just supposed to be a bug, and that's what it came through with.
Let me tell you, that's exactly how it goes in programming. It turns out a bug is often the best feature. So.
Yeah, don't you love it when you spend hours and hours working on something and your one mistake is what everyone prefers?
Yes. And there's probably I almost said something about my new baby. That would have been bad.
You mean it's probably exactly what happened to Bits.
And from the chat room, a couple comments we have.
That's a good way to get drop kicked by your wife into oncoming traffic. So.
Oh yeah.
From the chat room, a couple comments. Dave Wilmar says that there should be more drinking for this. Yeah, next time we do this, we can totally just pound them down. Jay Taylor says shame for not knowing the answer, I'm assuming. James Hunter also agrees. Yes, there should be more drinking and also more shame. So
Okay, I'm just going to point out that there's nothing that says that we're not drinking right now. It's just you can't see the cups on screen that well. Like I've been very good about that.
Excellent. So next question.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question is, this I don't know this game, so I'm letting Raymond take over.
Oh, okay. Let's see. This one is for Ghosts and Goblins. The hint is I just gave the answer. Look at me. Sorry, I'm just reading stuff. Well, I'll give you the hint and see if you would have been able to figure it out. The hint was an armored stripper goes on a supernatural adventure.
No way.
Would you guys gotten Ghosts and Goblins for that?
I would have actually said Ghosts and Goblins. Ghosts, with an N. Goblins.
Let's just check what I wrote down. Oh, yep, I got it. 100%. I feel like full points should be awarded for that.
That's legit.
Like that. That's how I would have said
Or shame on me. Okay. Next question, I guess, is going to be back to you.
Wait. Don't give away any more hints, Raymond. I think we're done with that. Okay. This is a game where one of the major, if most interesting divergences between its reality and ours was that they did not invent the transistor. And as a result, even though they have floating housekeepers and cars that pretty much have like amazing fuel sources, their computers are absolutely horrible. Like you're never going to be able to look up anything on YouTube.
Okay, so we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll start with Dakota again. Dakota, what is your guess?
I'm going to go with Fallout.
Fallout is Dakota's guess. Hugo's guess is?
I hope so too, because that's my guess.
Fallout.
Hey, man,
okay.
Hugo.
And James?
Kicking butt.
Amish World?
Amish World.
I feel like that should be a contender,
I'll play it.
Amish World doesn't come out until SimCity 7, like post-apocalyptic. It goes to Amish World after everybody kills themselves.
Hopefully.
But you are correct. Fallout is the correct answer. So we have Dakota and Hugo with both the correct answers. So good job, guys.
Apparently, Fallout 4 was the first game where the main character could speak, which it's impressive because the main character was able to say my name incredibly wrong. Like, it just butchered it. And I'm like, man, I do not have a complicated name. How could you fail so much? That robot in the face every time you looked over, and he was just like, bastard. So.
Yep. And Dave Woolmarth in the chat room says he thinks he's incorrect. He says, my bad. Clearly, Ramon has been drinking. Maybe. And he thinks that Charles needs a refill and maybe a sandwich. So
I could use both, but unfortunately my woman's asleep, so like I don't know how to make a sandwich. I need her to help me out.
Jeez.
It happens.
Okay. Let's see. Last question for the guess that video game.
Yeah. Okay. So the last one is this features a character that wakes up on a slab and immediately gets head, but it's all bone with no lip. And even lacking a tongue, it still manages to put off action for lengthy talks.
Okay, so
I'm sorry. What?
I can repeat it.
Okay, we'll have him repeat it again, just to make sure everybody heard it. Charles, repeat that.
So this character wakes up on a stone slab and immediately gets head, but it's all bone, no lips, and even lacking a tongue, manages to put off any action for lengthy talks.
Huh.
So there you go. So that's a repeat. 5, 4, 3,
I think we
2,
finally got them all.
1. Write down your answer. We're going to go with Dakota first.
I'm going to go with Zelda. I don't know. That's the only place I know you wake up on a slab.
Dakota guesses Zelda.
Wait,
Hugo?
It's a total shot in the dark here. I'm super wrong.
Pac-Man.
It says Pac-Man.
Guesses Pac-Man. Okay. And James.
Yeah, I'm awful at this. I just put skeleton porn because I don't know what you're talking about.
That is
so
probably the closest
to me.
correct answer.
I don't know what this could be.
It actually was skeleton porn 65. It would have been 69, but they were missing a bone.
So close. Oh, so close.
No, it's Planescape Torment.
It's what?
Planescape Torment. The main character in Planescape Torment wakes up in the morgue and he's immediately greeted by Morte, a floating skull.
I played that game. Should have known that.
Yeah. I think we, Raymond, we actually skipped one question.
Oh, did we?
So I'm just going to back up a little bit.
Sure.
This is the only game where handling a love triangle with an abusive wizard can actually get the MC extra power.
Okay. So 5, 4,
Man, I'm so bad at all of these.
1. And Dakota, make your guess.
I don't know. Psychopaths in Love.
Psychopaths in Love. Okay, that is Dakota's guess. Hugo?
Wait, was that
I'm going with Zelda because of the triangle, but no idea.
Zelda. Okay, that is a choice. And James?
Twilight the video game.
No, I don't actually know if that's a thing or not.
So it's
all valid answers.
But
Okay, so the correct answer is, of course, Zelda. You are correct. Although I do like Dakota's guess there. Dave Wilmarth in the chat room is guessing he would have gone with Leisure Suit Larry for the last 2 questions.
There you go.
I think those are good answers.
I think it would work for both of them.
I think I had a sheltered child.
I mean, I feel like that would get you extra
you
points.
call out the Jay Taylor, who's a jerk. So you're the worst. Love you, bud.
So a fun fact about Zelda that most people don't know is that while it is a fantasy adventure, it's actually a time traveling adventure. And there's multiple different timelines that you have to play through. So each Zelda game falls in a different timeline.
Yep.
Well, it doesn't fall in a different timeline, but it falls in one of the different timelines. So there are multiple ones in one timeline, but yeah.
Yep, there you go. And Jay Taylor in the chat room says, "It's okay, James. We only think a little less of you for getting it incorrect." And which is why James said he was a jerk.
So James is going to join us on the judges panel next round, right?
Let's see. Yep, James is.
There's nothing for me to get wrong on the judges panel, so I feel like this is a good spot for me. Because literally the last 3 questions were all just made up titles with question marks. So I feel like, yeah, maybe judge. That's where I should be slotted in. That's good.
I feel like the question mark was the incorrect part of the answer. About your failures.
Okay, so that.
Yeah, I should have just been confident. I should have just been like, yeah, Amish world. Everybody knows that. It's common knowledge across the globe that that's what that is. And then maybe I would have swayed you.
I would have been into it, man. I've been like, yeah, I love Amish world. Like, let's go there.
Amish world sounds fun. It sounds like something you'd see in that movie, that TV show about the replicants. What's it called again?
The Republic.
Robots. No, like there's Samurai World and Westworld. That's it. It's the Amish world sounds like something you'd visit in Westworld.
I haven't actually
go there.
That there's apparently a bunch of Amish that live in this area, and I didn't know Amish were a thing. Like I thought it was like a joke on TV, like that, like Amish are a big community. Until I get here, and all of a sudden I go to one of those little supermarkets, and they've got like Amish cheese, Amish this, Amish that, and I'm like, wait, what's going on? Like, why is everything listed as Amish? And yeah, if you ever get the chance to try Amish cheese, it is like amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the best
I heard
I've
it.
ever had.
I used to be able to have it, and now I can't get it anywhere. And I really I miss that, man.
You Amish that?
I like that. I got it.
Yeah, me should.
Also, though, I feel like Amish LitRPG should be like a thing because like the Amish are the best crafters on the planet. Like they craft they craft their own cheese. They're like, yeah, no store-bought cheese here, folks. I'm gonna craft the crap out of this cheese, and it's gonna blow your mind.
Well,
like,
I feel like they'd be good.
I feel like there's a market for that.
I feel like if I wanted to see the best crafters on Earth, I'd probably go to Asia. Like I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so that'll end our first round. of trivia questions. We hit our 15-minute mark, and so the person with the least amount of points is going to be, of course, James Hunter. He's going to join on the panel of judges, including
of course
Charles and
myself.
right? So it's going to be a one-on-one duel between Dakota Krout and Hugo Huesca to see who's going to win this thing. So we're going to give you guys a topic. We'll give you a little bit to figure out your response, and then you give us responses, and we'll let you know what you think. So first question for the debate section.
The debate section. We're on.
Yeah. We already hit our 15-minute mark, so we're on to debate.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
It's such good questions.
All right. We can keep them.
Which Nintendo character would you go on an adventure with, and why?
Okay, so that is your question. What Nintendo character would you go on an adventure with, and why? Again, we're going to give you a little bit to figure out your answer. Again, it can be funny. It can be very logical, whatever you want to do. But the point is to convince the judges to pick you. And so we have a perfect panel, 3 judges. So there's not going to be any ties here. So give you a little bit more. Chat room says, let's see. Rupert Steven asks, he has a bunch of questions. How would you get a Amish into a VR pod, though? Going back to our Amish world question there. Let's see. James Hunter says maybe like a whole Amish community gets transported to a hostile dino world filled with RPG mechanics. All very good points. I think we're crowdsourcing an Amish RPG story. Yeah, at this point. Okay, guys. So your time is up. We are going to start with Hugo. Hugo, what is your response?
I'll go with Bowser from Mario. He's always doing like playing tennis or racing go-karts, and he knows all these cute princesses. And sure, he's not friends with some number over there. He seems like a cool guy.
There you go. That is very
Hugo.
I'm gonna say that's a really good point.
Ask you, what did you mean by Bowser knows all of these princesses? Like, I feel like our definition of the word "know" is a little bit different.
He's always hanging out with him.
I think of kidnap, but no, kidnap, whatever, fine line, I guess.
I mean, I guess you get to know them and like when they're in prison. Like, I don't know what to say there.
They aren't exactly like running away from him. They're like, "Oh no, you kidnapped me! I'm going to stand right next to you and never run away." It makes you suspect of it.
Okay, so that is his response. Dakota, what is your response, man?
I would definitely go with Kirby. For one thing, I mean, he has whatever power to fit the situation you need. He can fly a little bit. I'm sure you could ride him kind of like if you were like Yoshi almost, if you need to get up somewhere. He's a brick. I mean, he's very versatile. You can get across pretty much any world and, have fun with it. And he's not kidnapping anyone.
I love that response. It's he's not a kidnapper. He's a lawful man. It's cool.
Yeah, but he's like the destroyer of worlds because he can ingest universes. So I feel like he's a cute genocidal monster. But whatever, it's cool.
Like my dungeon, cute genocidal monster. Hey.
Is genocide worse or better than kidnapping women in today's culture? Like, I feel like this is a very important question.
Hang on. Technically, he just has a black hole in his stomach that also somehow gives him power. So I don't know if he's like genocidal is just like hungry.
Well, I feel like crushing people via a black hole is a bad way to go. I mean, I could be wrong. I've never been crushed by a black hole, but I feel like that would not be awesome.
How does he spit them up if they've been hit by a black hole? Like, I know how gravity works, and you don't like really get hit all at once. Like, there is like the closer you are to the substance, the harder it is. So there's be a lot of squish.
Have you ever noticed that when you
kill you, it turns the black hole inside out?
Have you ever noticed that when he gets rid of the power, he shoots a star out? That's why.
Yeah. But he also like has like I've played enough Smash Brothers to know that he spits out his victims sometimes.
Sometimes.
Okay, so we have our 2 answers. Judges, take a minute to think about fully those answers and make your decision.
I don't need time because I don't think. I just go on gut.
Okay, James, what's your who
it's got to be Bowser because Dakota his book is doing better than mine. So out of jealousy, I vote for Bowser.
Jeez, ouch! Oh. James,
I'm a cruel, spiteful, petty person. All right, we just need to know that going into it.
Well, that's good to know, man.
That'll be interesting when we're sharing a booth at Dragon Con.
I'm canceling my visit to Dragon.
Okay, Charles. So Charles, who did you vote for?
This was a tough one because I had to deal with like a sexual assault victim in the happening, but or I had to deal with somebody who's literally going to kill entire species with their black holes. So I'm going to go with Bowser because at least he's got a good back swing. Like,
he's very good at playing tennis.
That if I played against him, I have a chance to win. Whereas I feel like Kirby would just eat the entire court.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Hugo as well. The Bowser bit with the ladies. Who doesn't love a guy who has hooked up with all the ladies? We won't question morally how he got them, but
I'm going to go with the ladies don't like that.
Yeah, no. Serious question.
Fair rebuttal, Dakota. I feel like that should be recorded.
Yeah, isn't Bowser actually like a reptile though? Like, doesn't he lay eggs? Like, doesn't his species like not really fornicate the way like mammals would?
I feel like this is a conversation I'm not totally interested in having.
I agree with that.
Involved in weird places.
I'm going with it.
Does he actually assault them, or does he just kidnap them like for wall art?
I think he just for arm candy. He's a king. He needs a list of harem girls, and so it's more for diplomatic reasons that he has on the side.
I feel like there's another crowdsourced LitRPG here called Bowser's Harem, and it's just like a weird about him with his harem of captured princesses.
It's a massive bestseller.
I'm not going to write it. That's not for me, but I feel like there's definitely a market out there for that.
I feel like this is Hugo's book because we can't steal his credit here. Like,
yep,
you got this, brother.
I'm going to be so rich. Yeah.
This is Hugo's. Okay, so Hugo wins now. You get 5 full points. From the chat room, we have a couple comments. Jay Taylor says, "Isn't just Kirby just angry? Is that what his superpower is?"
He's always happy. He's always like, "Hi, yeah, you know." Come on.
Jay Taylor also says, "Isn't spitting quitting? Spitting is quitting."
I feel like that's not an appropriate comment to repeat. Like, come on, man.
And also,
that's one you read and chuckle at. That's not one we say live.
Bowser is a dragon turtle, isn't he? So there you go. We have our actual species for King Koopa, who is a different name before he was King Koopa, then he became Bowser.
They never run away is not a good form of consent. I like that comment.
that was me. Like, sorry, I put that in the Google Doc.
Okay, so our next question. Let's see. We'll go with question number 2. There he is. There you go. He's back. So our next question is going to be Star Trek or Star Wars. Which one is better and why? So this is definitely a dividing one. So you guys, you take a little bit to think about your answer. Again, Star Trek or Star Wars. Which one is better and why?
What if they both guess the same thing? Don't we have to have them argue?
No, they have to say. Yeah. You also have to choose which answer you like better, and because of their why.
Okay.
You know?
It's like those math problems where the teachers are all like, "I know you got the right answer, but your methodology was wrong, so I'm failing you."
Yeah, you have to show your proof.
Okay, you got it.
Okay, so you guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this time we'll start with Dakota. Dakota,
all right.
What is your answer?
All right, straight up, guys, it is Star Trek. 100% Star Trek. No, hey, quiet from the judges. So, a bunch of reasons. For one, it shows that humanity has progressed to a point where it's no longer a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It's our own people. It is a journey through the universe to meet life forms and educate them. And yes, you don't give them more technology, but you can give them kind of guiding light. And then also Patrick Stewart. I mean, Patrick Stewart. So yes,
Patrick Stewart is a pretty reasonable answer. Okay, Hugo?
I went with Star Trek 2 because the replicator, and that's it. It has a replicator.
Can you repeat that last bit for me?
Okay, let me see if I can do something about my connection.
So the replicator.
Just on time.
Yes, the replicator.
Oh, the replicators. Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes, you can use it to play a LitRPG game and do nothing else.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point. Like doing the holodeck, Star Trek.
The holodeck. Yes, that's
okay.
What I meant.
Okay, so like I feel like I need to step in here. Like I am a big Star Trek fan too, but Star Wars has magic knights in space. Like, how is that not the automatic winner? But it's like
it revolves around one family,
and then also magic knights who have magic lightning powers in space with magic swords. Like that's so cool, though. Is the thing. Like, not that Star Trek is bad,
but there's like
magic
2 of them.
Space knights.
Yeah, but there's like 2 of them.
Yeah, but they're the central actors of this show. Like, yeah, I want to follow around the magic space knights with their cool swords. Like,
I got you. How about this? I'll re-release my books and it'll come out 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 1.5.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe the labeling on the series was not great, and yes, the 3 prequels. Not the strongest films, but premise-wise,
all right,
Star Wars.
I can give you one reason why Star Trek is better than Star Wars, and it all comes down to one character, Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, Jar Jar Binks is the worst.
Wait.
Don't talk like that about Emperor Snoke.
Are we talking about Darth Binks here?
Yes. Darth Binks.
Yeah,
okay.
That's right. Darth Binks. The ultimate Sith warrior who undermined and destroyed the Jedi Order.
Yep.
I would have bought it.
I feel like
the best.
Have you ever heard the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
You mean Darth Binks the Wise?
Not a tale to Jedi.
All right, next question.
But
I don't think
because some of our judges are a little bit biased here. We're going to go to a vote to see who they have picked for the winner of the second question here. We're going to start off with Charles. Who did you pick as the winner in this particular debate?
So I'm going to say, like, I wasn't sold on Star Trek at all from Dakota. I'm sorry, man. Like, your books are good, but you need to write a better answer on this one. Like,
I actually gave you a whole answer.
I felt like the sauce was weaker than the sauce recipe from half of Ramon's spaghetti stuff. Like, oh, my God. Come on. But Hugo sold me in one line, like VR simulations. I was like, what?
Yep.
Also, I'd like to point out that the biggest seller of the Star Trek universe should be the fact that in Star Wars, everybody's broke, there's a bunch of slaves, and you're probably going to die. Whereas in Star Trek, no one has to worry about money. You've got VR everything, can eat whatever you want, and your probability of dying is incredibly low. So, like, living in these universes, I would rather live in the Star Trek one. Like, I just don't like dying or being turned into a slave.
Okay, there's his answer.
But you're fine with the Bowser taking slaves. Okay, anyway, all right, it's all good. Go on.
Double standards, okay.
Also, I just want to say that Charles is boring. You're going with the safe option, dude. Go with the magic space knight powers. That's what I'm saying. Now, in terms of the judging, though, as much as it grieves my soul, I'm going to go with Dakota. Because even though he's wrong about Star Wars versus Star Trek, he gave a very compelling answer for why Star Trek is pretty okay.
Was it Patrick Stewart?
It was Patrick Stewart.
Okay, I respect that.
So far we have a vote for Hugo, from Charles. We have a vote for Dakota, from James.
Dave over in the chat brings up a great point. If you are a red shirt in Star Trek, yeah, you're absolutely dead. And I feel like with that beard, you're definitely a red shirt. I mean, there's no way. Either that or like a Klingon. I don't know.
Or I just don't go on space adventures because of how many people wear red shirts and travel on the Enterprise. I'm just saying, like, statistically, there's billions of them, and there's only like 100 red shirts on the Enterprise.
All of them are going to die. 100%.
My vote is going to go towards Hugo. Dave, in the chat room, kind of swing.
Dave, I also wear green shirts, man. Green bathrobe here.
Body zones. And I'm like, the holodeck and the replica are like, oh yeah, those are great technologies. You can do some really cool LitRPG stuff with that. And so I was swayed to Hugo. He knows his audience, apparently. And so Hugo is getting 5 points, putting him well ahead of anyone else. So I'm going to say here that Hugo is going to be the winner of this particular LitRPG Authors games. Dakota, you were very far behind. Like, you were...
Hey, you know what? It's okay. I made it into the second round. That's all I can ask for.
Yeah, we're going to play this.
Victory.
I want both.
Raymond, you don't pull punches, man. You're just like, Dakota, you have failed. Commit.
Sorry, man.
All right.
Okay, so
hey, Hugo, let's turn this around. Let's
worst,
ask them some
Dakota.
questions.
yeah,
I want to turn this around. Let Hugo and I be the judge on this one. We're gonna ask you guys.
Oh
How's
yeah.
that sound, Hugo?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
so
up for it.
you three had to make a case or something.
Okay, sure.
No, that's why I
go
took
for
the
it.
co-host position, man. Like, I'm terrible at answering questions. Like, why do you think I volunteered to not be a part of this?
Hang on a second.
Oh, looking stuff up now. Okay.
Oh well, I just had to get the correct name of this. So, sorry about that. Let's go a little bit further away here. Do you think that video games are bad for people?
That's like a one-word answer, but okay. We'll go with it.
I want your debate. I want your debate on this.
Well, I mean, they are bad and they are good because let's be honest, most of us would be productive and efficient members in society a lot more if we didn't have something entertaining us. Like, you know, when they say that necessity is the mother of all invention, boredom is in itself a necessity, and therefore boredom predates a lot of inventions. However, video games take that away because the second I'm sitting in front of StarCraft, like the last thing I'm thinking about is like, man, I should do something productive with my life. Man, I should go out and like go get them. But when I was stuck in Korea with like no one to talk to because barely anybody spoke English in like the entire country, nothing to do because I didn't have my computer and like just everything was like boring as hell, I came up with a bunch of great stuff. Like it was nonstop invention. I'm an idiot and I was coming up with stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of intelligent people that are going to be spending most of their life building crap on Minecraft rather than actually doing anything useful for humanity. So in this sense, video games are bad. But then there's StarCraft 2, so I can't knock them and I say video games are just amazing.
Okay, thanks for that response. Let's go with James. Are video games bad?
Well, like, no, I think that they're great. If you really want to debate, I think that they're maybe greater in moderation. To speak to Charles's point a little bit, so I lived internationally. A couple of years ago, my wife and I were living in Thailand, and we were doing international aid work with a couple of organizations. And they didn't so we moved there, and they didn't have anything. They didn't have like television for me to watch. They didn't have video games for me to play. Like Thailand is a partially closed country, so I couldn't like stream Netflix or Amazon Prime. And out of sheer boredom, that's why I started writing. Like the entire career I have now was born out of my boredom and need to entertain myself while living overseas. So I mean, I think maybe there is some truth to like, you know, more in moderation. But with that said, like I love video games. Like there's like when I need to unwind and unplug my brain from the world, there's nothing better than just sitting down and playing some Diablo or some StarCraft or getting on and jumping into Skyrim. Like it's the best.
The same answer as me, right?
Well,
yeah,
a much more.
Answer like yes, video games.
Hate to
do
say
take away
it,
from
but
productivity, but then there's StarCraft, so it's amazing.
Well,
that's true.
James does have a much more complete answer in this case, though. So unless Ramon comes up with something amazing, I am fully on board with James winning.
Okay, well,
Dakota, man, this will show up in your comment section.
Start deciding winners. You know, okay. My response basically is going to be no. Video games are not bad in any way, shape, or form in and of themselves. It's a thing. Nobody forces anybody to make video games or to play them. So inherently, they're a neutral concept. So it can either be neither good nor bad in and of itself. Social pressures and social desires and confirmations determine whether something is good or bad. Having said that, I think they're great. I think the most amazing thing that's ever been invented practically. I mean, my entire career as a writer stems from writing and loving video games and RPGs. So just personally, if video games didn't exist, I wouldn't be talking with you guys. I would never have written any books. I don't think any of us will be part of this wonderful LitRPG community. So from that standpoint of video games informing us and teaching us things like logic and imagination and how to craft stories and how to create entire worlds and systems, I think they're absolutely great. And that is my response.
Damn, Ramon. All right, man, you're giving James a run for his money here, because I thought at first you were just going to go with like the science of it, but oh, that's tough. What do you think, Hugo?
I think I'm going with Ramon.
Ramon?
I'm going to vote for Ramon too. It's much better.
It's a great answer.
Okay, well, because I want to say James just because he's such a good person. He's like, oh man, I was out giving international aid to people. I'm actually a useful human being. I'm super nice. I'm amazing.
That's true.
And then Ramon's like,
you don't know me well enough. That's all. Get to know me better, and your opinion will change drastically.
Just up and down, or what? No, actually, I think all of you are pretty amazing, and seriously, you guys have great answers for that. I think though that we do have a point here in that without games we wouldn't have this sort of career. We wouldn't have this the opening to the community that we do have. So I am going to have to go with Ramon as well. Yeah, with closely followed by James.
That's okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
So cool.
Votes, don't actually count, of course, because he will win.
How bad I botched the question and answer round, I feel like runner-up is a good place for me. That's a win.
So thank you very much for everyone for here. A couple comments from the chat room already. As Jay Taylor says, Ramon is sucking up real good. Playing to the audience, absolutely positive. That is true. Let's see, says Rupert Steven says, does a foreign land count as the local Walmart? I'm not sure what that means. Dave Wildemar says, Scribe Ramon. Hey, look at that. Get titles now. I should have that on my list above my head. Scribe Ramon gives me a +5 bonus to reading ability. Let's see. And James Hunter says, Walmart is the Badlands. That's where you go to grind out XP. Thanks, Okay, so folks in the chat room, if you guys are watching, listening, feel free to start asking your questions. This is going to be the Q&A section of this particular broadcast. So anything you have for the authors, questions about their books, questions about things you want to know about them, writing styles, whatever the case is, feel free to drop them in the chat room, and I will read them off to them, and hopefully they will be nice enough to answer. In the meantime, till those get going, I will ask the authors some questions myself.
Wait.
James, Charles and I kind of prepared about this a little bit. So,
what race do you play on StarCraft?
Can you repeat that for me, Charles?
What?
Can you repeat your question?
James, what race do you play on StarCraft? Because when you said you loved video games and you loved StarCraft,
almost exclusively TOS. I like Zerg sometimes, but mostly Protoss. It's what I like to play with.
I respect the Death Ball, sir. I respect it. Have you loved the Disruptor Edition?
Okay, so I'm going to say something that's sort of blasphemous. I've never played StarCraft 2. I grew up on the original StarCraft, grinding it out on BattleNet.
Trying to fight the Koreans. I gotcha.
Dude, the original StarCraft is it's good, but the way it handles the user interface, it's like going from using one of those annoying little flip phones to using an iPhone for the first time. And not just an iPhone, maybe a Galaxy Note.
4 months ago, all right? I'm behind the times on things.
Hey, Charles, you just have to remember he was off in Thailand giving aid to people, while we were playing games. So
I feel like he's the one who needs aid if he hasn't had StarCraft 2. That is definitely some rough stuff.
It's true. I've always meant to get, but I grew up on the original and the original Diablo and Diablo 2.
Oh yeah,
my favorite game.
Godly Plate of Whales, sir. Godly Plate of Whales.
Oh, and Rupert Steven Sharma.
Okay, Ramon, do your question.
Or giving AIDS? That is a weird question.
No, not AIDS. No, that's no.
Spread it up, man.
We're working with an international aid organization in Bangkok, and we were working with folks that were coming in from the hill tribes and with sex trafficked women, and so not AIDS. We're not giving AIDS. That was 100% on the record. That's not what we were doing.
Well, there are conspiracies about that in the world, so it's good that you have cleared that up, James. We appreciate that. Another comment from Dave Wilmarth is, Charles, are you in a prison visiting room? He thinks he recognizes that.
Yes. I live in a prison. There's no windows. In fact,
go in your chair.
This is my conjugal visit time, and I'm really, really sacrificing to be here.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah, thank you for your sacrifice. That's right.
I feel like that's something you say to soldiers, not people who give up conjugal visit.
Okay, so we have a couple questions. Charles and I came up with a couple questions just in case. Not a lot from the chat room. Question one basically is going to be, for each one of you guys, what was the best LitRPG you guys read before you started writing? So what's the best LitRPG that you've read before you started writing? So we'll begin with James.
So I started out reading a lot of Russian LitRPG, and it was strangely compelling, even though I didn't totally understand it at the time. But I just kept reading through it, and eventually I wound up reading Travis Bagwell's book, Awaken, online, and that was my favorite, I think, LitRPG that I read before I started writing at the time was his book, and that one was, I felt like, boy, kind of set the bar. So I really enjoyed the Russian ones. Way of the Shaman was the first series that I ever read, but Travis's book was probably the best one that I read at the time before I started writing.
Okay, thank you. Hugo, what is the best LitRPG you read before you started writing?
I think I'm going with Awaken Online too. It's the first one I read, followed by The Land. And then I think it was Blaise's Delvers. So yeah, Awaken Online.
Okay. So Awaken Online, I think you said followed by The Land. So good choices. So we lost Hugo for a second. We'll move on to Dakota.
Hey. So I actually didn't. So the first time I knew that it was LitRPG was after I wrote my first book. So I would have to say before I started writing, the first one I ever read that really drew me to the series was actually a Russian one. It's Play to Live, the Alter World series. And that was great, especially the first, I'd say, 4 books. And then after that, it got a little he was under contract and had to write sort of thing. But I mean, great series before, first 4 books. And that kind of pulled me in. I started writing very shortly after that first one came out, I believe. But since then, obviously, I've read as many as I can, and they're all amazing, So
there you go. That's the answer we're expecting from somebody. And on to Charles. Charles, you're an author in LitRPG as well. So what was the best LitRPG you read before you started writing?
Legendary Moonlight Sculptor.
That's a very fine one. Yeah. Perfect.
I started writing LitRPG. So that question's a little complicated because a lot of my favorite LitRPG authors came out after I had already published The Bathrobe Knight. Like I got The Bathrobe Knight out really early, and then I started seeing all of these other people emerging, and I was like, oh man, I got to read this. Oh, I got to read this. But before I started doing that, it's a really big gamification in books was huge in Korea, and I was living in Korea, so I was like, I'm going to start reading this. And so back in 2009, the early days, I started reading Legendary Moonlight Sculptor. You could still find a way to build tension even without the death aspect was kind of interesting. Because even as a writer, that's something I struggle with the LitRPG is how do you add tension when if they die, they're just going to respawn? Yeah, LNS did that in a way that I really enjoyed. The only downside is the translations kind of got really bad, and I tried to help with the editing, and that's how I got into writing more. But yeah, it was some rough translations sometimes.
Yeah, perfect. That's a really good point. We got to remember that Charles Dean also wrote The Bathrobe Knight well before I think any of us had written any LitRPG. He was one of the first LitRPG that I recall reading myself personally. So that's why he's pulling from a different pool of older stuff than the rest of us are. For me, I want to say that the best LitRPG I'd read was again, this is all before The Land, before anything I wrote, and most of you guys wrote. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's the one by D.W. Jackson. I forget the name of it, but I've read it 20 times.
It's the Reborn series, right?
The Reborn series, yeah, that's it. The Reborn series. It's a series of almost short stories, but they just kept coming every couple of weeks, and I because there was no LitRPG really at the time, I must have read each one of those 20 times, literally the first one especially, because it was such a great grab. And again, there wasn't much else, so there's not a lot to compare it to. But the Reborn series will always have a special place in my heart, just because it was the thing that says, oh, this is a genre, this is something that you can do, and it really informed there's some other stuff, and got me looking for video game fiction, and eventually into RPG fiction, which actually had a name for a particular genre, and that of course led me into the podcast, and then writing, and kind of my whole life revolving around LitRPG and all of you great folks. So that is my particular answer.
Yeah, it's funny because like I was writing urban fantasy and I was living in Thailand, and so what had happened? How I discovered LitRPG was like all of these Russian books started populating in my also bots for my urban fantasy on Amazon. And I'm like, what is this? Who are these Russian people and why are they infiltrating my also bots? Why? And so I started reading them and I was like, oh my God, this is sort of incredible. I mean, I don't 100% understand what this is, but I need more of it. And like, and thus began my year-long addiction to LitRPG, which culminated in me writing a book.
Yep, perfect. So I think we'll have very similar responses. Like, oh, we found the genre, we loved it so much, we want to create in it. It's a love story as old as time. A couple questions from the audience. We have Dave Willamart asks, to whoever wants it, a gnome warlock or a goblin engineer, which would you pick and why? So a gnome warlock or a goblin engineer. I think the answer is pretty clear to me, but we'll start off with Charles. Who would you pick?
Oh, that's easy. I'd go with the gnome because they're good with technology and goblins are ugly as hell. Like, I mean, if I've got to be stuck in a fantasy setting, I want to reduce the amount of ugliness as much as possible to human standards.
Okay, there's an answer. Yeah. Dakota, what would be your answer, man?
Definitely the warlock, the gnome warlock. Mainly because a goblin engineer sounds like a terrible combination for getting yourself killed. But also because who doesn't want to throw around just huge bolts of power or make contracts with beings from another world, right?
Okay, yeah. Perfect. And Hugo, I don't know if you heard the question.
No, I was losing my connection.
No problem. They said, who would you pick, a gnome warlock or a goblin engineer? Which would you choose and why?
I think I'll go with the gnome because I don't know if I can trust the warlock.
Oh, okay. So you choose a gnome because you don't think you can trust the goblin?
The warlock.
Okay.
There was a warlock? Yeah. And that engineer can build things very cool for me. So.
Okay, engineer can build things. Perfect. And James.
Well, I already answered on the comment thread, but I'm gonna buck the trend here, and I'm gonna go with goblin engineer because I feel like what, no one's thinking a goblin engineer is gonna do anything awesome, and so like you're scrappy and you're the underdog, and they're like, stupid goblins, they don't know anything, and then I'd be like, oh really? Look at my giant steam powered mech armor suit that I'm gonna blow you up with, and it's gonna be amazing. Eat it. So yeah, I feel like that's an underdog class, and I get behind the underdog class. That's what that's my thing.
No, absolutely. I'm with James on this one. Goblin engineer is such an amazing class. So much so that I wrote a character in Adventures in Terra with that particular idea of like a goblin who's a crafter who makes stuff. Her name is Diblix. So of course I'm going to go with the goblin engineer and the ability to kind of make like these steampunk like mech machines, and there's these weapons that are just crafty, and yeah, they might blow up on you. That is a risk I'm willing to take if I can just have a whole army of like goblins and in these steam powered mech suits. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll go with that. Like it's kind of alternative to like the dwarven engineers, just the evil version or the evil version goblin engineer. So like okay, so more questions from the audience. Let's see. Oh, Rupert Steven asks, as writers, what is your greatest writing moment? So we'll go with start with James this time. What's your greatest writing moment?
What is your greatest, like what is your greatest writing moment? Like what book do I like the best, or?
I think it's like what moments when you were writing was like the best moment for you, the shining example of why you're a writer.
Okay, so I think so I'm gonna give you two. So two of my favorite scenes I really liked in Crimson Alliance, which is the second Viridian Gate Online book. Spoilers alert if you haven't read it, mute your mic now. But in the end, when they infiltrate the city on the spider mounts and they go up the wall and then they fight, like that was a really fun, like bringing all of these different plot threads together in kind of an unexpected way. I really enjoyed writing that. It was really emotionally satisfying. And then in a new book that I just finished, I'll show it to you guys. So this is in my urban fantasy series. This is the new book, Brimstone Blues. And in it, he's in hell, and he has to battle an entire army of like Frankenstein roller derby Amazon hellions in hell, and it's just so crazy and so off the wall and so fun. And I just had like a crazy good time writing it. And I was like, yeah, this is why I get to be a writer, because I just get to come up with the most absurd things on the planet, and people give me money for it.
A good answer. Thank you very much. Let's go with Dakota. What is your favorite writing moment?
For me, it happens quite frequently. I just love to make jokes. That's kind of my whole thing. I love making, taking something that happened in a totally different part of the story. My favorite thing to do while writing is to put something in that seems to make no sense, and then much later on in the story, it becomes something that if they didn't have, it would have been much harder to complete a task. Typically that takes the form of a pun somehow. But I think for me, what made being a writer amazing was so when I wrote my first book, Dungeon Born, I put it out and I expected two people to read it, my mom and my wife. My mom didn't read it, but a couple thousand other people did, so that was pretty awesome. And suddenly having people that wanted to chat about it and talk about it, and they have their own theories about it, and it's really fun for me, like, to have that interaction with the fans and the communities. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your answer. Charles, what is your best writing or your favorite writing moment?
So I've got a really short-term memory, and I'm sure there's been a lot of great ones that came out. But in terms of like something I can remember off the top of my head, I would say it was when somebody called me the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy of LitRPG. Like, I mean, that's just like the greatest compliment I've ever received in my life. Like, I could go to sleep now and be like, I have a few one-star reviews that hate me, but I'm the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy of LitRPG, so I'm okay with this.
Perfect. That's
and I got thanked for the digital fish.
Hugo, we lost Hugo's video feed, but we still have audio from him.
I had to switch to my computer. My phone just died on me, so can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. The question is what is your favorite writing moment from the audience? So what's your favorite writing moment?
It was seeing my first paperback, Rune Universe. I had never held the book, the actual real book, in my hands. And I saw it sitting in my friend's shelves, and that feeling was amazing. It was like seeing the book for the first time, like it was something tangible, something real.
Yeah, perfect. And that's very true. Like, it's different, like seeing your words on your computer screen, as opposed to like having a physical book saying this is an actual thing that's real and not just something storing in my head. So very nice, very nice. We have Blaise Corvin joining us. Hopefully his microphone works. We're crossing our fingers. We had some technical before, but Blaise, let's say hi and see if that works for us. Nope, does not work for us. I know, so we're all very sad. It's kind of a running joke at this point that his voice is not there. But if he wants to type in his response to that particular question, we'll have James read it out for us.
What's
your favorite writing moment? Blaise,
I've met Blaise in real life, so I know exactly what he sounds like.
Yeah.
And I can do a perfect Blaise impression. One of them is like a 12-year-old girl. The other one's like a Russian. So I feel like that's what we're going with. So yeah, we're gonna just mix those up and have some fun.
James, he gave his response in group chat. If you want to read that off.
He says, "If James messes this up, I will break him. Because I'm tough. And I have lots of knives." That's what he says. He's so bad right now. I'm sorry, Blaise, it's not true.
So actually, to give us a response, he says, Blaise says, definitely holding his first paperback proof was his favorite writer moment. And now he's just threatening us all with his massive sword of shininess.
Yes.
There you go. Look at that. Oh, that thing's so beautiful. I just want to caress it. That's a different thing though. Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. We have a couple comments from the chat room here. Dave Wilmer says gnomes got 3, goblins got 2. So you know what's coming. Gnomes rule. That's Dave's comment there. Dave also says that my goblin was so cute in in my novel. Yeah, it is. Diblix is super awesome and adorable, and the audiobook version is super funny to listen to, by the way. Let's see. Jay Taylor suggests that Blaise should mime out his answer. There you go. Dave Wilmer surprised. He says, "Whoa, that took a turn." Jay says that Blaise should stop stroking your sword, please. We're grown-ups. We're all here.
We got Louis C.K. Blaise over here.
Yeah, we're into what we're into.
Do we all have just like random weapon collections? I'm just wondering.
So many random weapons.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure this is my favorite.
What you got?
Okay. Blaise also says I can mime some shit. So there you go.
So this one I got in Thailand, and in like this crazy vendors, like weird covered vendors market in the Northern Hill Tribe. So this is like, it's like my favorite because like they build them there, you know, like they have like a forge, and then like the guy's like sharpening his blades with like bamboo, and it's crazy, it's super cool. So this one's that's my favorite.
Perfect. I guess we're showing off our sharp pointy things here. Dakota also has something to show off.
Oh yeah, sure. So hang on a second.
I think I saw you wave something around.
People are talking to me on here. So yeah. So I have it's called a kukri. I'm sure a lot of people know what they are. So this right here, see that? That is actually just what you use to sharpen this. So yeah, so this is the officer's kukri from I believe it's I might be wrong, but also Nepal. The special forces from there, they are trained to use kukri as basically their main weapon, and then guns secondary. So it's really cool. I have it just for the like the historical reasons. Obviously, there's, even though it is like battle ready, there's obviously no way or reason that I would ever need to use it. But it's just
totally research purposes. That makes a perfect deduction. That's what I said.
Yes. Oh, yes. And this is definitely like in video games and stuff. This is definitely like the rogue or the assassin's weapon, because you get two of them, and you always read the books where they're like slash, and you take off a dude's head. That's actually where the stories came from. Is two kukris. That is what they're designed to do. Is act as scissors, basically.
Also, I need to just note that Blaise says he keeps knives. Oops. Sorry, Blaise says he keeps knives to play with on his desk to help him write, and he has a new, I don't know how to say that word.
Panuti?
Does anybody know how to say that word?
Panuti, I think.
Panuti. It sounds like a sandwich, but I'm guessing it's an awesome knife.
Got a new panini press.
Sounds delicious.
I like that.
What you do is you heat the blade up, and then you put a sandwich on it, and then you put another one on top, and you press down.
Oh, and he's wearing his chainmail. That's right. I didn't notice, actually. Very nice chainmail.
I thought it was just a sweater.
Eye color. So there you go. Charles, do you have any weapons you want to show off to us?
Oh, no. All of my weapons are back in my house in Georgia, because
remember, he's in prison.
a lot, I don't want to have to lose anything.
So there you go.
I do have other knives. I don't know if you guys, Gil Hibbins. Oh, I've got some terrible knives. It's
there you go. Oh, look at that. That's a zombie apocalypse weapon for Hugo. A straight blade razor. Yeah, that'll cut us.
Yeah, that'll take
real
us
quick.
There.
Blaise also has a dagger from his Delver series, and then Jay Taylor wants us to answer what our favorite class is in our books, or orbs or types of cultivation.
Yeah, Jay, just Taylor, I wasn't ignoring your question, Jay. I'm just letting you know these guys go on their own rampages sometimes. I was totally going to ask a question then, but it is a question. He says, what is your favorite class in your books? Whatever it is, whatever type of book you're writing. So we'll start off with Blaise. We'll start with Blaise time. What's your favorite class in any of your books? Typing is not as entertaining as I thought it would be. He's trying. He feels very armed. Mime here. That's what he feels like. He's a battle mime, according to Hugo. So he's a min-maxer, Blaise says. So like all of us are.
Totally.
So favorite class. So modular orbs. Okay, well there you go. That does make sense. We'll go on to Charles. Charles, what's your favorite class from any of your books?
I'm going to go with the, I don't know if you've read Merchant of Tikpa's thoroughly, like if everyone has, but there's a healer class that Reginald plays that I absolutely love. Like if I had to pick a class, it would be Reginald's healer class because it has a bunch of stuff that basically doesn't require a lot of focus and can really turn a battle, but also has some like really cool effects. Like imagine like somebody's coming at you with an axe and then a yellow hexagon shield appears and saves your life. Like I feel like doing that would be awesome versus just being that guy who's running around, because I would be horribly awkward if I had weapons. Like if I'm sitting there with like swords or something, I would be terrible. And if I had like actual offensive stuff, I'd be like that guy in the YouTube video going like magic missile, magic missile. So, no matter which option I pick, I would just be a failure. So I'm just going to go with the healer class where I can do what I love, which is save people at the last minute or not save people at the last minute.
Taking that Batman
I'm not going to
approach.
say that back when I was a healing paladin in PvP, there were multiple times I'd look at my buddy and just be like, you're dead.
He doesn't have to kill you, folks. He just doesn't have to save you. There you go. On to Dakota. Dakota, what would be your favorite class from your books?
Sure, man. So classes in my current books aren't really a thing. But I am in the new books that I'm writing. There is one that I'm very excited about. So I am creating something called a Death Adept, so he's definitely not the main character or anything. But essentially, I really like video games and books where you have a class and then you have a class that you rank it up into, and then you can do it again and again, kind of like in the old school Final Fantasies. So basically, it goes like rogue or thief goes to assassin goes to death adept, and so basically it's just like a very overpowered assassin. So it's going to be really fun to write and to see. So.
Perfect. Jay Taylor in the chat room asking you specifically a follow-up question. He says, "What's your favorite cultivation type then?"
Fair enough. So you're saying with like the various forms of essence that I use, I assume. So I really like what Cal is doing in my books, where he is doing all of them at once. It slows down the progression, but to have to focus entirely on perfection and efficiency and the absolute best way to do something is kind of a programmer's dream. Like trying to get that sort of thing where you are able to get to that point where you can say this is the best that it possibly can be. So I think that's kind of why Cal's character just resonates with me. So probably that.
Okay, perfect. And real quick, Blaise Corvin has a comment for Jay Taylor. He says to F him.
You're just the messenger.
Yeah, so I guess I can't say the full word, but you guys know what I mean. Jay, I guess he says it in love. Look at that guy smiling, how entertained he is. How can you hit a chainmail wearing mime who says that to you? You know. Okay, James, what is your what's your favorite class from your books?
Oh man, this is really hard. Okay, so like obvious shout out to the Shadowmancers. I like Jack's class. It's really cool. He's got the Shadow Stride abilities, super awesome. There's a couple of like off classes that don't really get explored a lot that I really like. So in the new book, Imperial Legion, there's two classes that I really like. One is called an Arbomancer, and it's like their class is all like plant based, and they have like plant based mounts. Like they can grow monsters from acorns and then ride them around into battle and stuff. And they're like these weird vine wolves. And anyway, so they're really cool. Jay Taylor, who is getting the raw end of the deal here, he actually is in the book, and he plays a monk called a blood rune monk. And like these monks have like these crazy like tattoos, and they power their tattoos, which are spells using blood magic. So that's really super rad also. And then Osmark's class is really, really cool too. So I have a fun time coming up with like kind of wonky off the wall stuff. Oh, and then also, yeah, thank you, Blaise. I appreciate that. Also, one more. So in the new book, there's also he's it's kind of a dungeony thing. There's a dungeon sort of character. He's called a Gravemonger, and he's sort of a crazy necro with all kinds of crazy stuff. He's awesome. So read the book and you'll find out about him in some.
Is it like a necrophile fishmonger?
What's that?
Is it like a necrophilic fishmonger?
That's close. I mean, you're in the ballpark, but no spoilers though. So I'm just gonna leave it there.
Well, you know the term fishmonger, right?
Yes. No. Well, I mean, I know what it is, but someone who sells fish. Isn't that what a fishmonger is?
It's a word for a pimp.
Is it really?
Oh, that's not a fishmonger.
Yeah. So if you call somebody a fishmonger, you'd be implying that he would even sell his own daughter to have sex. It was used as an insult.
What? No, that can't possibly be right.
I thought it was a fish seller one too.
Yeah, so no, in Hamlet, right? There's one scene where Hamlet is basically insulting Ophelia's father and calls him a fishmonger for pushing Ophelia on Hamlet. And that's like one of the first printed origins of the word. So yes, it does sell fish, but think about like that wording, like fish, you know.
Yep. You don't.
Wow, that's crazy. So it is a person who sells fish, but it does seem like
it's like fish tacos. Yeah, you can have fish tacos, but then you can also have fish tacos.
Toward fishmonger. Huh, I didn't know that. Learn something new every day.
See, there you go. This show is educational as well as entertaining, folks at home. We're going to go to Hugo. Hugo, I think I skipped you earlier. What would be your favorite class from any of your books?
Bards, hands down, bards.
Bards, you said?
Yes, bards. Bards know what life is about. I mean, they are just traveling the world, seeing all the sights, looking for cool people to hang out with, and everyone else is just trying to kill each other and dying horrible deaths. And bards are just hanging out, trying some magic spells sometimes, making songs, making art or something. So yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. Like bards are just the creative force of a lot of RPGs. They don't kill things necessarily, but can really mess you up at higher levels. I like it. Okay, and it's my turn, I think. My turn. What's my favorite class? I'm definitely going to go with the Cobalt Artificer. It's a new class that's coming out in the next Adventures on Terror, which I haven't written quite yet all the way. But I'm definitely more of a crafter, a lover of crafting, just because I'm a destruction is cool. Killing things, I'm all for it in my stories. But I love the opposite of that the character can be a creative force in the universe that you can add to it instead of just taking away from it. I mean, sometimes yes, you got to kill things to protect yourself and your family and your friends and your interests or whatever. But definitely, Artificer has always been a really cool class to me because you're making something that other people can use, even if it costs you a bit of XP or whatever it is, depending on the system you're using. But Cobalt Artificer all the way for me. And Blaise says, since we're measuring our Schwartzes, I brought out one of my antique swords to hold on my lap for no reason whatsoever. And we'll shoot Blaise. Yeah. Oh yeah, that one's really nice. He let me hold that in a hotel room once. It was a very fun time.
So you're holding a sword in a hotel room? Yeah. Tell me all about that. It's a different kind of story than I'm used to, but
yeah, it was like I said. He's very happy to let you share when he likes to, I guess. Okay, a few comments from the chat room. Let's see. Jay Hillary says, I'm used to the abuse. It's Stockholm Syndrome kind of relationship. James Lee, who's new to the chat. Hey, James. Lee says, you are at a cafe and see your favorite movie director is sitting next to you. You overhear that he or she needs an idea for their next movie. It's your chance to pit LitRPG series to him or her. If you have one sentence that you could summarize your novel to captivate their attention, what would that sentence be? Wow, that is a long question. So if you were going to pitch your novel as a movie to somebody who was interested in making it, what would be your one sentence pitch to that person? And we will start off with Dakota.
Oh, thank God.
I think my sentence would be, hey, do you want a great movie idea where the author will take a pittance in royalties?
That is not a bad pitch. Okay, we'll go with James. What is your one sentence pitch?
Me?
Yep.
Oh man, I'm really bad with elevator pitches, guys. But I would say it's Tron meets Lord of the Rings, set in the future, where a man saves his life by entering a MMO fantasy video game. That's it. That's my sentence. It's terrible.
That is terrible, but it's okay.
Oh jeez.
I'm so bad with elevator pitches, guys. I really am. I can't do them.
No, you're just you're extremely persuasive in person though. So
Yeah, just ooze charm.
It's true because what I do is I corner people, and then they can't get away from me until they buy my products. And then if they try to flee, I use them as like rocks, and I just like boomerang them into the back of people's heads as they run away.
Oh,
So
James
basically,
is
extremely
he
effective.
does have a pretty good intimidation check.
That's how I make friends. Yeah.
Okay, Charles, your turn. What is your one sentence pitch to our fictional movie producer?
Which book?
Whichever one you want.
To make
I guess if I was doing like War Eternus, I would probably say something around the lines of like, there's a lot of product placement opportunities, and it'll make more sense than Batman versus Superman.
Okay, that is probably true.
Love story.
Okay, Hugo, what is your one sentence pitch to a movie producer about your book?
Oh, I think I'll roll an intimidation check and tell him that I know where your family lives, and try to.
I know where your family lives, and he's going to roll an intimidation
really
check.
nice knowing you.
That can be very persuasive. So thank you for that, Hugo.
I would expect him to say something like, "I know where your family is, and I have a mind bird."
For Secret of the Old Ones, he says, "This is like Ready Player One meets Call of Cthulhu and The Wizard." So that is his one sentence, and that one is a lot easier to fact check because we can see his one sentence. I'm pretty sure James was a run-on sentence, but we're not going to penalize him for that.
Poor James.
Okay, let's see. I guess my turn. I guess one I've been focusing on. I hadn't thought about it. For Adventures on Terra, coming of age story with levels, monsters, and hot redheads. So there you go. Not bad. See, like everyone, Blaise is nodding. He's like, "Yeah, I'm voting for that." Dakota, he's laughing too. Yeah, see, I think that was a pretty decent one. Okay, some more questions from the audience. Let's see. Dave Willimarth asked, "And another turn, what happens in the hotel? Like, what happens in hotels in DragonCon stays at DragonCon. We're not gonna go back and talk about that." Let's see. Dave also says, "Lesson learned: never be alone with the room with Hunter." James also says, "Hugo's way scarier." So there we go. James says, "I'm more socially awkward." And Jay Taylor says, "Bowser's making more and more sense now." We have another question from Jaribo. He says, "How do you go about world building for your books?" So good question. Let's start off with Charles. Charles, how do you go about world building with your books?
Oh man, this could take a long time. It's like, okay, so I was telling Raymond about this the other day, and one of the things that I first have to do is, I guess the very first step for me is to think about how combat's going to work. Because if you're reading LitRPG, chances are you want to see a good fight scene. So I try to think about combat, and for instance, I have to try to think about each like aspect of it. So for this recent book I wrote, War of Eternus, we sat down and we were like, well, how many times do we want the person to be hit before he dies? And then how many times do we want the two-handed sword to be hit? Like, how do we factor in the armor? So we had to come up with a value for armor. We had to come up with a value for the damage. We had to be like, okay, well, it's got to scale up at this rate. It's got to make sense. It's got to be something that's easy for the user to process. And then for some reason, if I start there, everything else just starts to pile on. And then I get all of these other facts. The lore, and man, I guess the best way to say how do I world build for the lore is I get really, really late at night. I'll use that term instead of drunk or something more accurate. Write a whole bunch of stuff down on paper, wake up, and then cross out what I think doesn't work.
Perfect. Great world building chat. James, how do you world build?
Real quick, before I mention it, Blaise says that he drinks a lot and then he rolls around naked in the pages torn from Brandon Sanderson novels. So I feel like that is an excellent creative process. And yeah.
Blaise, that answer is so beautiful, man.
I know. It's poetic. It's short, sweet, and so good. World building for me, you know, this is going to sound really terrible, but I actually don't do a lot of world building before I start writing. Like when I first started writing, I would do a lot of world building, and I feel like I would get lost in it, and it would just be like I would just do like endless amounts of stuff, and then I want to put it on the books, and that actually kind of makes for a bad book, I think. So now what I do is I just kind of come up with the story and the characters, and then I sort of craft the world as I go. As they like move through the world, I examine new parts of the world. I'm like, all right, well, what is this? Like in Jade Lord, when they go into Ankara, which is like this crazy desert city. Like I kind of had an idea for that before I started writing the series, but I didn't really until I like really explored it, and it was like, okay, the characters are going there. Now it's time for me to make things up. So I kind of world build on the fly. I plot really, really stringently in advance, but in terms of world building, it kind of comes up organically as the characters are discovering it.
Oops, okay. It sounds like you're kind of a pantser when you're writing. Is that true?
No, only with the world building stuff. Like I am a super duper outliner. Like I have like my outlines are like 12,000 words long, and they're chapter by chapter. I mean, like everything is outlined before I ever start.
Oh, good and interesting. Okay, Dakota, how do you do your world building?
It's much more stream of consciousness. So more similar to James, but without the extreme outlining. I do make an outline of my book where I want to see it go. So I say like I want these main points, but everything else is up to the characters basically. I sit down and I start writing, and I try and put myself in their situation. I try to see what would I do, and I think one of the most important things is that. When they do something that I think is stupid, like when like I do something and I get to the end of it, I'm like, man, that was dumb. Like that wouldn't work. Like I would not want to read that. I don't delete it. I call it "Don't kill your babies." That means like don't kill your like your ideas. Your like you get it what I'm saying. So, yeah, basically you don't delete big chunks of stuff. You turn that into a lesson for your character. Like, hey, this was a stupid thing to do. You did it anyway. Stuff blew up. Like like you lost a bunch of gear, you lost this, all that fun stuff. That's how I do more for characters. For environments and for environments and monsters and such. It's I actually roll dice. So I have a list of different terrain features, and then I have for animals I have just the alphabet. So A through Z, and then I roll a dice, and then I pick whatever number comes up. That's what I'm using for the next thing.
Perfect. So you're legitimately like rolling a campaign for your combat scenes and stuff?
Yes, very much so.
Very nice. Dave Wilmer says you should add that to your author page, Dakota. Dakota is against baby killing.
Yes, very much so. Yep.
But what about baby punching?
I'm not Blaise, so I don't know what his situation is, but I'm gonna
17 babies a day is his
situation.
Oh,
right.
Before
sorry, that conversation about baby punching occurred before the thing started. My bad. I will back it up.
Yep.
It's
not a huge fan personally. Stan.
I just want to point out that Blaise is not denying
that I know of.
He puts babies on a regular basis. Let's go to him and see what he says. Yep, no denial at all. There you go. Okay. Oh no, in text he's actually saying I don't actually punch babies. He says I am child free though. So there you go, folks at home.
Are you child free? Because you do more than punch?
Actually punch babies unless they start shit first.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, let's see.
Man, Blaise, everything got terrible, man. I'm on your side here now.
I'm gonna ask Hugo. Hugo, how do you do your world building for your stories?
It looks a lot like James' process. I used to be a game master for Dungeons and Dragons, so I'm used to I'm used to do a lot of work that I know I'll never use, and that my players are going to go to another different continent than the one I made for them. So I mix that with a lot of improvisation and see where it takes me.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
There's some very good insights. I think that's everyone else, right? Okay, so my turn. So world building for me it's kind of a weird concept because I come from macro, not writing, not storytelling at all. I was a mechanical engineer student for a while, then I went to teaching. So none of that informed me about like how to create a story or craft anything. It was very much just blah, story in my brain, came out of my mouth or my fingers on the keyboard. But as I was like writing stuff, I just started imagining, okay, what's this world going to be like? What are the things I want to kind of say in my story? So it was very much from a development point of view, like I want these actions to happen. I knew I wanted there to be crafting. I knew there wanted to be like community building and a dungeon and subtle themes of like, species and like monsters being prejudiced against by humans and vice versa. So like some like racial tones, I guess, or like themes about like cultural conflicts, and so that those ideas informed where I would be sending my story. With the saying, like the dunes of like some slavers later on, and I knew this was gonna be like a dungeon and mountain. So like I had these places, and it just for me it was like, oh, now how do I connect everything? How do I describe them out? And kind of organically saying, oh, these things will make sense together. And that's how I world build very randomly, apparently, now that I actually think about it. So there you go. Let's see.
So you've been missing out on some background sidebar conversations there.
Yes.
Yep. Sorry. Oh yeah, we have some stuff in the chat, in the author chat. Let's see. I'm reading it now. Let's see. Dakota, we need to make this connection happen. Whose turn is it? Oh wow, that's way up there. Who wants to do no authors D&D is from Dakota. We have just about everybody saying, yeah. Except for Blaise, who says he can't give a serious answer because he knows James Hunter is going to read what he types and messes all up. So.
No! I'll do Blaise's reading from now. He says, I just need to fix my comms because James reading this shit and hurting my hair.
That was heart, not hair.
I'm sorry. It's such tiny print right there. I have trouble right there, but I'll be happy to do all of the Blaise reading in that accent if that's okay.
I think we should do that in French accent.
French.
Yeah, here we go. You guys are driving me to drink more. Yes.
No. We could go Russian.
Typical like Asian
Russian. Like I didn't know this, but I've had several people accuse me of being a Russian writer.
That was very funny. Yeah, I saw that in like some comments on Facebook. Like, oh yeah, Charles Dean. He's one of those Russian authors. I can always tell from how he writes his novels. Like they sound really weird.
Yep.
Like, oh,
in their defense, look at his beard and look at the room he's in. I feel like that's the most Russian thing I'm going to see for the next month.
And this is not vodka. This is water.
Sure.
Sure. Yep.
So there's no Russian accent like at all here. But I have to say, I've got so many great Russian friends that it's a wonderful compliment.
Oh yeah, there's a good comment from the chat room. Jay Taylor says that we should have Jess Hayes join us, and he can do the voice for Blaise Corvin, since he's an audiobook narrator.
Yes.
He can do some really cool stuff. I really like Jeff Hayes' female character voices. They sound interesting. So I think those would be perfect for Blaise.
Is that the word we're going with?
He should use the double voice.
Very good stuff. Okay, let's see what else we have. Any more questions from chat?
Oh wait. Blaise said, "I would accept Jeff doing my voice."
No, he does it for his. He's actually his voice for his audiobooks. So why not? He trusts the man to take his characters and give them life. So why wouldn't he trust him for his actual voice?
Can we get a Google invite for him so he can do it?
This is kind of the end of the show, anyways. I don't see too many questions in the chat room. We're at about 1 hour and 44 minutes for the show. So we're gonna probably wrap this up pretty quickly. If anybody else in the chat room has any questions they want to ask real quick before we kind of head this off and let the authors get a chance to plug their things, now would be the time to do it. Authors, if you have any other questions for each other, this is cool too. Just raise your hand and let me know, and I'll shift the video. So, Dakota?
Sure. So I was wondering if any authors are interested in actually doing a D&D campaign.
Yes.
So I know you are. Hey, yeah, because I think it would be extremely interesting because one of the biggest things, biggest negatives that I have when playing D&D is that people don't get into their characters, and I kind of have a feeling that all of you would be very in character, and it would be fun to try and kill you all.
Do you also get like those annoying people who go too far into like this weird caricature, and then you're just like, you're not even playing your character, you're just saying the most ridiculous thing you can think of?
Yeah, bards.
Yeah, that's
bards. Yeah.
I find it's more often like the dragon monk, and you're just like.
I find that if someone is not actually playing the game, they tend to end up in trouble very quickly. So, yeah. So
yeah, I would be up for it. I've never played actual D&D people before. I bought a bunch of like D&D manuals and read them all. Sure. Casual reading, teenager stuff. But I would totally be up for it personally.
Sure.
Blaise says, Jeff Hayes could do the Deepwater Rose voice for me. I bought Bad Meat for James Hunter. He would suggest that we play Fate. I've never heard of or played Fate before. I would be happy to do it. I just have to get the rule set.
Fate is cool, but it's less rules intensive. I don't know how to describe it. It's less crunchy than Dungeons and Dragons. I kind of like 5th edition. It's a middle ground between Fate and 3rd edition.
Okay. But if we were doing straight D&D, I would probably say 3.5 versus 5e because 5e tends to have more stringent rules. So 3.5, I can just homebrew it and be like, oh yeah, man, roll, see if it works. Oh, you got a 20? Sure, why not? You have died from dysentery. Yep.
I think I've seen that more than any phrase in a video game. Wait, no, construct additional pylons.
Hey, listen.
Perfect. And Jay Taylor in the chat room said, of course, it must be streamed while we play the D&D campaign. Of course, Jay, that would be the major point of this. We could do our own. I guess we can call it Authors and Dragons. Somebody else already has that podcast name. We could call it, I don't know, LitRPG and Minions, something like that.
Or we could just call it LitRP Authors. Minions
and Authors, something like that.
Yeah, we can figure out that particular selling point later. But it sounds like the chat room is cool. Jay says he wants to see Starfinder. Is that a game set?
Oh, yes. It's super cool. It's Dungeons and Dragons in space.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that does sound cool.
Yep.
Rupert Steven says, LitRPG roll.
Ah, there you go.
Roll.
Well, Critical Role is a really popular stream. I think that's what he's talking about.
Of role players, that would be LitRPG roll. So there you go. Yeah.
We could be Triple D, drunk dungeon divers.
Triple D threat. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Taylor says we should do the new version of Pathfinder.
Oh.
Rap says it Pathfinder in space. Those are all things apparently.
Okay, not to plug myself here, but there is a game company that is picking up Dungeon Born as a D20 compatible system.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. Nice. So that'll be.
How are they translating that the cultivation aspect to?
I have no idea. Oh, okay. So I'm going to be playing it myself as soon as it comes out. But it's just barely getting started right now.
Perfect. And Blaise Corvin, we have to read his chat. Blaise says, if you can plug yourself and teach others, the birth rate will go down. That is interesting. That is totally true. So there you go. And Charles says, triple D's over double D's. Hey, who's going to argue with that?
I said, come on.
They're funny. So, okay. Yeah. So there you go. I don't see any other questions in here on the chat room. So I guess that's going to be the end of it. Unless the authors have any other questions for each other.
Yeah, I got one.
Stay so amazing.
What's the game you guys have played most in the last 3 months?
Warframe.
Warframe, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to get idea. I like Warframe.
Oh, you do? Great.
That's a long time.
Yeah. All right. Well, you and I will talk after this then, because I need someone to run some missions with me.
Okay. Anyone else? What games have you played the most in the last 3 months?
The most. Let's see. XCOM 2. Dragon Ball Universe. XCOM 2.
Okay, XCOM 2 for Hugo. Perfect. Let's see. Blaise, he says, I played the hell out of Warframe in the past. I have a bunch of rare frames and mods. Yeah, you beat me. I'm super casual with Warframe. I would pop in and just die repeatedly. I'm like, okay, there you go. That was fun. For me, I'd have to say the one I played the most recently is Divinity Original Sin 2. It was kind of my go-to game for just like those times I needed to chill out or between writing sessions. Because it's very, it's turn-based and you can pick it up, save, and start again later without any issues. Also, Mario Rabbids was kind of fun. It's like XCOM with Mario.
Yes,
it's still entertaining, also turn-based, and so it's easy to just like stop and go do something else and come back to it and still continue on.
I'm going to get that one.
Let's see. James? Anything you've been playing in the last 3 months?
What game have you been playing the last 3 months? Is that that's the question?
Yeah. What's the game you've been playing the most in the last 3 months?
Oh, man. I haven't been playing very much. I've been playing some, like when I do get free time, I've been just playing Diablo 3. But, yeah, I I've been working so much, man. We've had so many releases. Like I've been trying to do a book a month. I'm trying to do that. So we did the Artificer, and then Brimstone Blues, my urban fantasy series, and then this month was VGO 4, and then next month VGO 5, and then I'm working on another co-author project called War God's Mantle, which will come out in January. It's LitRPG. So I've just been like really stupid busy, so I haven't had nearly as much time to like just veg out and play games as I would like. So it's been a busy couple 3 months.
Well, that's really nice that you've been working so much. I think we only get to see half your stuff in the LitRPG, Facebook groups, because you have that urban fantasy series as well. But it's always good to be busy, keep your writing pace going. I can't do that. A book a month. I'm like, oh God, I'm happy with like a book every 6 months at this point. So good for you, man. Let's see anybody
It's
else?
a learned skill. I'm not there yet. I'm taking pointers from folks like Michael Scott Earl, who are like, I write fast, but he writes real fast. So I'm trying to. I was at 20 Books Vegas a couple weekends ago, and I had a chance to talk to him a little bit and like find out, like, dude, how do you write these books so incredibly fast? So I'm implementing some of his strategies to kind of help me speed up my process a little bit, because I want to get more stories out there.
Yeah, no, and I think I talked to Michael Schotfer recently, and the big takeaway from his secret sauce was like, oh, he has a schedule. He'll write for 2 weeks, and then for 2 weeks he'll send off to beta readers, and the next 2 weeks he'll have professional editors. But in those other weeks, he's also writing other things. So he's putting out essentially, three novels, and just having a whole like streamlined system of writing, editing, and then it's out. Basically, I'm like, oh, that's
brilliant.
Really useful. Like, you use your time. Like, you're not doing the things that you're not great at. He's focusing on the writing, and he's leaving editing and like proofing and stuff like that to people who are better at them, who aren't just him. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Very cool.
Okay, let's see. And I think that was it. Did I miss anybody for that particular question? No. Okay. Blaise, he didn't answer. What game have you been playing the last 3 months?
He says was hack 4.
Yeah, what have you been playing the most in the last 3 months for games? Although he did say James Hunter plays with people's lives. He says, yeah, so that's the game he plays. He says, I'm going to put out at least 7 or 8 books in 2018.
That is,
so he's throwing down the gauntlet. 7 or 8 books.
No, I'm stoked to read them. I think you can do it, man.
I'll put out 7 or 8 chapters in 2018.
I do like making fun of you, Blaise, but you are amazing, and I am really excited to see how much you can produce now that you're going full time. So keep at it, man.
So he says he's been playing Deuces. Is that a game or is that a joke? Oh, no, I think that was a different comment somewhere. Sorry, man. Okay, looks like that's it. People got to go place it. It's gone a little bit longer than I thought it was, but it's okay. Entertaining time. So we'll say our goodbyes to everybody. Everyone will have a chance to say goodbye to the community, say goodbye to the stream, and talk about whatever they want as far as promotional stuff. Let's start off with Charles Dean. So Charles, you get to say goodbye and talk about anything you want.
Yeah, no, do me last. I've got to find something.
Okay. We'll go with Hugo then. Hugo, if you want to say goodbye and talk about anything you want to promote.
Yes, see you later, guys. It was a blast. Hopefully we can play that Dungeons & Dragons game. Like and subscribe.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. We'll go next with Dakota.
Sure. I want to say thank you, everyone, for watching this. Ramon is amazing, of course, for putting this together, especially. Yeah, definitely check out the Divine Dungeon series. Third book just came out last Wednesday. From the response, people seem to like it, which is great. Yeah, keep the reviews. I mean, for all of us, reviews are definitely the lifeblood of the author. So if you love the book, please leave a review, and I will definitely thank you for it. So thank you all, and I hope to hear from all of you, really.
Okay, man. Thank you very much. James.
Yeah, so I got a bunch of stuff to promote because I'm a hack. So Viridian Gate Online 4 Imperial Legion came out yesterday, and it's amazing. I'm just going to post a link here. Oh, no, it won't let me do it.
Sorry. The links will be in the show notes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But VGO 4 is out, and it's pretty incredible. So if you haven't picked it up, please pick it up. And then also the series, if you haven't started or need to catch up, are all going to be on sale. Books 1 and 2 are 99 cents today. Book 3 will be 99 cents tomorrow, but they'll all be reduced price all week. So be sure to stop by and pick them up if you like that. And then late December, early January, I have a new LitRPG that's not in the VGO universe called War God's Mantle that's going to be coming out. It's crazy, awesome, so much fun. So be on the lookout for that one too.
Okay, thank you very much. And of course, just a reminder to the audience, all the links to all the authors' works, their Facebook pages, Twitter's accounts, it's all in the show notes. So feel free to check all this stuff out. And Dakota had to take off. And Blaise, if you want to say hello and goodbye to everybody. Okay, says, I'll read Blaise's stuff. He says, buy my shit, please. I have a hardcore LitRPG series called Secret of the Old Ones, and also F. James Hunter and his slow ass writing. Ramon, please say something nice about Secret of the Old Ones is, again, quite a nice series. I did enjoy it. Got a good score from me as far as the review goes. The Cthulhu side of it, a little lighter than I thought it was going to be, but good mechanics, good world building, and a good fun adventure story. So there you go, Secret of the Old Ones. And of course, he also has Delver LOC, and of course, I think we're also coming out with the Nora trilogy pretty soon as well. Yeah, and don't forget, Blaise has a Patreon, as do a lot of us. All those links are in the show notes. And on to Charles Dean.
Yeah. I had to find it. It was underneath the desk for a second. But I have some books, War Eternus, The Bathrobe Knight, and all of them. But I highly recommend this random book by Luke Chomenko called Ascend Online. Like, I know I shouldn't be plugging this book on my section, but damn if I haven't read this bitch like 3 times. Oh, I'm sorry. Shouldn't cuss. Damn if I haven't read this like 3 or 4 times.
Hey, you do with your time what you want, man.
Yeah, no. Also, please check out the War Eternus. Have fun trying to pronounce any of the names in Merchant of Tikpa, and enjoy reading any of the series. But War Eternus, if you make it past the first chapter, you'll probably like it more. I'm not as great with introductions as some of these people. I hope you enjoy it, and yeah, buy Luke's book too.
Great, perfect. And Blaise Corvin in chat is saying Nora is a spinoff of Delvers with a tie-in later. F. Luke Chimlenko, and he's like 10 times slower than James Hunter at writing, I'm assuming. So there you go. So all great comments from Blaise, who's been very entertaining, even though he has not been able to speak at all. It's like it's the weirdest combination of great things. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. I think I got everybody else. So my turn. Ramon Mejia here, LitRPG Podcast. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I'm also R.A. Mejia, who writes Adventures on Terra. Got these books behind me. If you can see those there in the corner. Yes. Books 1 and 2. I'm actually going to be putting out a new LitRPG novel in a different universe and series called Project Alpha pretty soon. I'm literally just waiting on my cover art to come in. I'm like, it's about a week overdue. Like my artist want to go out in a different artistic direction. I'm like, okay, thanks. So it's one of those things. But it's out. We beta readers, they liked it. It's set in the modern world with like dungeon diving in like our modern society, like slightly futuristic, really cool stuff. Charles Dean said he liked it with caveats. So there you go. But that's it for the podcast, everybody. Thanks again for everyone in chat who is nice enough to comment and ask questions in the stream. We're going to take all those names for all those folks who actually commented, and we're going to draw some winners, and we'll send you some Audible credits just for your emails from YouTube, I guess. So thanks everybody again for hanging out for the LitRPG Podcast. I want to say again, thank you everybody, and remember to go read some LitRPG so we can hang out again. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Yes. Bye.